The Echo of a Promise, Chapter 1. There are moments in life that feel like turning points, decisions made in an instant that send ripples through all the years that follow. For me, that moment came when I was 18 years old, a freshly printed acceptance letter to the state university in my hand, and a heart full of dreams about studying art history, about a life filled with travel and beauty, a life far removed from the quiet rhythm of our small town. But life, as it often does, had other plans. My name is Clara. I'm 60 years old now. The dream of university, of a life devoted to art, was a path I didn't take. Instead, I stayed home. My younger sister, Lily, had been ill for most of her childhood, a chronic condition that required constant care, frequent hospital visits, and a level of attention that consumed my parents' time and resources. While I was dreaming of ancient cities and Renaissance masters, they were grappling with medical bills, sleepless nights, and the constant worry that shadowed their lives. The acceptance letter felt like a ticket to a different world, the chance to escape the quiet limitations of our circumstances. But the thought of leading my parents to bear the burden of Lily's care alone felt wrong. My mother was exhausted, my father stressed. Lily, though often weak, needed companionship, someone to read to her, to sit with her during long hours at home. I loved my sister fiercely, and the idea of her feeling alone or neglected while I pursued my dreams felt selfish. The decision wasn't explicitly demanded, not in words, but it was there, in my parents' tired eyes, in the unspoken weight of our family's reality. The university offered some financial aid, but it wouldn't cover everything. The cost felt insurmountable, not just the tuition, but the cost of adding another worry, another strain to my parents' already burdened lives. So I stayed. I put away the acceptance letter, the brochures filled with images of ivy-covered buildings and hopeful young faces. I told my parents I had decided to defer for a year, to help out. The year stretched into 2, then 3. Lily's health remained fragile. I found work as a secretary in a local office, contributing to the household expenses, helping with Lily's care, becoming an indispensable part of our family's routine. The dreams of art history faded, replaced by the practicalities of daily life. I watched friends go off to college, start careers, live the lives I had once envisioned for myself. There was a quiet sadness that settled within me, a sense of regret for the path not taken, for the dreams deferred indefinitely. I never resented Lily. How could I? She was my sister, my sweet, often suffering sister. Her illness wasn't her fault, but I did, sometimes, resent the circumstances, the hand we had been dealt, the way it had quietly, irrevocably shaped my life, steering me away from the future I had longed for. Lily's health stabilized as she entered adulthood, her condition managed, though she always remained delicate. She married a kind man, lived a quiet life nearby. I visited often, our bond deep, forged in the shared experiences of her childhood. But the unspoken understanding of the sacrifice I had made, of the path I had given up, always lingered between us, a silent presence. Lily rarely spoke of her illness or the impact it had on our family. It was as if she carried her own burden of guilt, a quiet awareness of the cost of her fragile health. My parents were grateful, of course. They thanked me repeatedly for my help, for my sacrifice. But the gratitude, while genuine, didn't erase the quiet ache in my heart, the wondering about the life I might have lived. I married later to a good man, a man who provided stability and comfort. We had children, a happy family life. I found fulfillment in being a mother, a wife. But the ghost of that 18-year-old girl with a university acceptance letter and dreams of art history never completely left me. My husband passed away 10 years ago. My children are grown, living their own lives. I'm retired now, my days quiet, filled with the simple pleasures of life. The regret for the path not taken had softened with age, becoming less of a sharp pain and more of a quiet melancholy, a part of my life story, a chapter I had learned to live with. Then, a few months ago, my sister Lily passed away, peacefully, finally free from the illness that had shadowed her life for so long. Her passing brought a wave of grief, but also a sense of relief that her suffering was over. Sorting through her belongings, a task shared with her husband, was a poignant experience. Her small house was filled with the things she loved, the things that told the story of her quiet, resilient life. Tucked away in a drawer in her bedside table, I found a small, leather-bound journal. Lily's journal. I had never known she kept one. Her husband said she rarely let anyone read it. He thought it was just personal reflections. With his permission and a sense of both trepidation and curiosity, I took the journal home. Chapter 2. Lily's journal was small and worn, its pages filled with her delicate handwriting. The entries spanned decades, from her teenage years up until just months before her passing. I read it slowly, hesitantly, stepping into the private world of my sister's thoughts and feelings. The early entries spoke of her illness, the constant fatigue, the pain, the frustration of being different, of being limited by her fragile health. She wrote about feeling like a burden to our parents, seeing their worry, their exhaustion. And then I found entries about me, about my university acceptance letter, about my dreams of studying art history. June 1978. Clara got her letter today. State University. She was so happy, her eyes shining. I saw the brochures, the pictures of old buildings, the art classes. She wants to see the world, to study beautiful things. I know how much this means to her. I heard Mom and Dad talking last night about money, about my doctor's bills, about how they don't know how they can manage everything. I saw Mom crying when she thought I was asleep. It's my fault. My fault that Clara can't go. My fault that her dreams might not come true. She deserves to go. She deserves to be free. But they need her here. I need her here. I hate my illness. I hate that it takes things away from the people I love. My heart ached reading her words. She knew. She knew about my dreams, about the acceptance letter, about the financial strain her illness placed on our family. She knew the sacrifice I was contemplating, and she carried the burden of guilt, believing it was her fault. I had thought my sacrifice was largely unseen, a quiet decision made in the shadows of our family's struggles. But Lily had seen it. She had understood the weight of the choice, and she had blamed herself. Reading further, I found more entries about me, about the years I stayed home. September 1979. Clara started working at the office. She's so tired when she comes home, but she always smiles at me, reads to me. She never complains. I know she misses her friends, the ones who went away to college. I know she misses her dreams. I see it in her eyes sometimes, a quiet sadness. It's because of me. Everything she gave up, it's for me. How can I ever repay her? How can I ever tell her how much I appreciate it, how much I love her, without making her feel like her sacrifice was in vain? Tears streamed down my face as I read her words. She had known the depth of my sacrifice, and she had carried her own quiet burden of guilt and gratitude. The unspoken understanding between us had been real, but it was colored by her self-blame and my quiet regret. As the years passed, Lily's journal entries spoke of her life, her marriage, her attempts to live fully despite her illness. And scattered throughout, there were still entries about me. May 1990, Clara got married today to Thomas. He seems kind, stable. I hope she is happy, truly happy. A part of me will always wonder if I hadn't been sick, if she had gone to university, if she had followed her dreams, would she have met someone else? Someone who shared her passion for art, for travel? Would she have lived a different life? A life that perhaps she wanted more? I pray she is happy, and I will always carry the knowledge that her life was changed because of me. My heart ached for her. She had spent her life believing she had held me back, that she was the reason I hadn't lived the life I truly wanted. She didn't know that I had found love, fulfillment, and happiness in the life I did choose. Despite the lingering what if, the journal continued entries about her declining health in later years, and then an entry just a few weeks before she passed, October 2023. I don't have much time left. There are things I regret, things I wish I had said to Clara. I wish I had told her sooner how much I knew, how much I appreciated her sacrifice, how much I loved her for it. I wish I could tell her not to regret the life she lived. She was a wonderful sister, a wonderful wife, a wonderful mother. She found happiness, a different kind, but real. I hope she knows that. I hope she can forgive herself for the dreams she let go of. It wasn't her fault. It wasn't mine either. It was just life. I wish I could give her something back, something that connects her to her old dreams, something that shows her I remembered, that I always remembered. Chapter 3. Reading Lily's journal was a profound and heartbreaking experience. It was like discovering a hidden conversation, a 50-year dialogue of unspoken emotions and mutual burdens. I had carried the quiet regret of the path not taken, believing my sacrifice was a solitary one, largely unacknowledged in its full depth. Lily had carried the weight of guilt, believing she had been the reason my dreams were deferred, that she had somehow diminished my life. And all the while, we loved each other fiercely, two sisters bound by circumstance, by sacrifice, and by the silent weight of what was given up and what was carried. Her final journal entry, her wish that she could give me something back, something that connected me to my old dreams, resonated deeply within me. What could that be? What could she have possibly left me that would connect me to the 18-year-old girl with dreams of art history? I continued going through her belongings, looking for anything that might fit her description. Her house was modest, filled with practical things. There were no hidden treasures, no grand gestures. Then, while helping her husband clear out a small storage shed behind her house, we found a dusty, old wooden crate. It was heavy, nailed shut. We pried it open, unsure of what was inside. The crate was filled with packing material, and nestled within it, wrapped in a worn canvas cloth, was something unexpected. A collection of art books. Not just any art books, but textbooks, reference books, the kind of books someone studying art history would use. And beneath them, carefully packed, were sets of drawing pencils, charcoal sticks, sketch pads, and a beautiful, unused, leather-bound sketchbook. These weren't Lily's things. Lily appreciated beauty, but she wasn't an artist, and she had no particular interest in art history. These were my things. The art supplies I had saved up for in high school, the textbooks I had planned to buy for university. My breath hitched. I remembered packing them away, tucking them into a box. A painful reminder of the dreams I was putting on hold. I thought I had donated them years ago, or perhaps they had simply been lost in the shuffle of life. But Lily had them. She had kept them. All these years. And then I saw something else in the crate, tucked inside the sketchbook. A letter, addressed to me in Lily's handwriting, dated just a few weeks before her passing. My dearest Clara, if you are reading this, it means I am no longer with you. I wanted to leave you something that might help you reconnect with a part of yourself that I always knew was there. These are your things, Clara, from all those years ago. The art supplies, the books, I kept them. All this time, I couldn't let them go. They represented a part of you that I cherished, a part of you that I always wished you could have fully explored. I know my illness changed your life, Clara. I know you gave up your dreams, your university, to help take care of me, to help our family. I read your old journals sometimes, the ones you thought were hidden. I knew about your dreams, your longing for a different path. And I carried the guilt, Clara, for so many years. Believing I was the reason you didn't get to live the life you wanted. But reading your journals again recently, and looking back on our lives, I see it differently now. You made a choice, Clara. A choice out of love, a choice for family, and you built a good life, a life filled with love, a life that was yours, truly yours. I hope you don't regret the path you took, Clara. It was a different path, but it led you to happiness, to love, to your beautiful children. Your sacrifice wasn't in vain. It held our family together. It allowed me to have the life I did. I wanted to give you these things back, Clara. Your art supplies, your books. Maybe it's not too late. Maybe you can still explore that part of yourself. Paint those pictures. See those beautiful things you dreamed of. Maybe it's a different time, a different way, but maybe the dream isn't entirely gone. Please, Clara, don't carry the regret anymore. And don't let my guilt be a burden to you. We did the best we could with the life we were given, and we loved each other fiercely. I love you, my dear sister, always. Lily, Chapter 4. Lily's letter, her final words to me, brought a wave of emotion so profound it left me breathless. Tears streamed down my face as I held the letter, her delicate handwriting, a tangible link to her love, her guilt, and her enduring wish for my happiness. She had known the depth of my sacrifice, the dreams I'd put on hold, and she had carried the burden of believing she was the cause of my deferred life. But her words also offered a new perspective, a different way of looking at the past. She saw my choice not just as a sacrifice, but as an act of love, a decision for family, a path that, while different from the one I had envisioned, had led me to a life filled with happiness and love. Her guilt, the weight she had carried for so long, mirrored my own quiet regret. We had both been burdened by the perceived cost of her illness, by the paths we believed had been altered by circumstance. But in her final act, Lily was releasing that burden, for herself and for me. And the crate, the art books, the supplies, the sketchbook, these were the tangible reminders of a dream I had packed away, a path I hadn't taken. Lily had kept them, carefully preserved them, all these years, a silent acknowledgement of the part of me that yearned for beauty, for art, for a different form of expression. Her final wish, to give them back to me, was an invitation to reconnect with that 18-year-old girl, to explore the dreams that had been deferred, but perhaps not entirely extinguished. It was a powerful message. It wasn't too late. The path I hadn't taken could still be walked, perhaps in a different way, at a different pace, but the passion, the interest, the desire to explore the world of art history was still there, dormant, but not dead. The quiet sadness, the lingering regret for the life I hadn't lived, began to soften, replaced by a sense of gratitude for the life I did live, the love I had known, and the profound, enduring bond I shared with my sister. Her sacrifice wasn't the sole reason for my path. It was a choice I made, a choice born out of love and a sense of duty, a choice that led to a life I cherished. Lily's husband was supportive. He knew how much Lily had loved me, how much she had worried about my happiness. He saw the meaning in the crate, in the letter. I brought the crate home. The art books, their pages slightly yellowed, smelled faintly of dust and time. The sketchbook was pristine, its blank pages waiting. I ran my fingers over the drawing pencils, feeling a connection to a part of myself I had almost forgotten. I didn't immediately enroll in art history classes or plan trips to European museums. That chapter of my life, with its specific dreams and possibilities, was in the past. But Lily's gift, her final message, was about more than just art supplies. It was about acknowledging a part of myself I had suppressed, about giving myself permission to explore interests and passions that had been deferred. I started small. I bought some new sketch pads, a set of watercolor paints. I started drawing again, something I hadn't done in years. It was hesitant at first, my hand unsure, but the joy of creating, of putting color and form onto paper, began to return. I visited local art galleries, museums. I took online courses on art history, learning about the periods and artists I had only read about in those old textbooks. The world of art opened up to me again, not as a lost career path, but as a source of beauty, inspiration, and a new form of fulfillment in my retirement. Chapter 5. Lily's last gift, her letter and the crate of art supplies, was more than just a gesture of love. It was a catalyst for a late-life renaissance. It was an invitation to revisit a deferred dream, to reconnect with a part of myself that had been quietly waiting for decades. The regret for the path not taken hadn't completely vanished, but it had transformed. It was no longer a heavy burden of a life unlived, but a quiet acknowledgement of a choice made, a choice that was complex, born out of love and circumstance. And that led to a life I cherished, a life that ultimately brought me back to the doorstep of that deferred dream. I continued to explore the world of art, finding immense joy and fulfillment in painting, in learning, in visiting galleries and museums. It wasn't the career I had once envisioned, the life of a globe-trotting art historian, but it was a different path, a path of personal exploration and creative expression, a path that felt deeply right for this stage of my life. Lily's journal, her honest words about her guilt and her love, brought a profound sense of healing to our relationship. Even after her passing, the unspoken understanding that had lingered between us for so long was finally brought into the light, not with bitterness or blame, but with compassion and love. I understood her burden, her belief that she had held me back, and I was able to release my own quiet regret, seeing my choice not as a forced sacrifice, but as an act of love for my family, a path that, though different, had led to a life filled with its own richness and meaning. The crate of art supplies, once a painful reminder of deferred dreams, became a symbol of possibility, a testament to Lily's enduring love and her wish for my happiness. It sat in my studio space, a corner of my home dedicated to my art, a quiet reminder of the sister who had remembered, who had understood, who had, in her final act, given me the gift of a second chance at a deferred passion. My children saw the change in me. They saw the renewed energy, the joy I found in my art. They understood, in part, the story behind the art supplies, the connection to their Aunt Lily, the dreams I had put on hold. They were supportive and encouraging, happy to see me embrace a new chapter in my life. The path not taken remained a part of my story, a quiet what-if that would always linger. But it no longer defined me. My life was a tapestry woven with many threads, the love for my parents, the bond with my sister, the joy of my marriage and children, the sorrow of loss, and now the vibrant colors of a deferred dream finally embraced. The choice I made at 18, influenced by expectation and circumstance, was a complex one. It involved sacrifice and compromise, but it also led to a life filled with love and meaning. And in the end, the path I did take, with its unexpected detours and hidden gifts, ultimately led me back to the doorstep of my original dreams, a testament to the enduring power of passion, the resilience of the human spirit, and the extraordinary ways love and destiny can weave together the story of a life. Even across decades of unspoken understanding and deferred possibilities, the echo of a promise, whispered in my heart years ago, was finally finding its voice, not in regret, but in the vibrant colors of a life lived fully, embracing both the paths taken and the dreams rediscovered.